Hello, everybody. Oh, before you start complaining about the music. There we go. That's better, right? Can you even hear it at all now? Probably not. Still bouncing on my side, but... hi Twitch. Hi YouTube. We should be live on both. I hope we are. Hope this is working, because I do not have the brain power to do much more than click yes and no. Welcome to our Tuesday night podcast. We are continuing our playthrough of The Zone RPG, which launches on Kickstarter in just a couple of weeks, I think.
Yeah. Less than 14 days.
Oh, the stress.
So much.
You got a lot going on in this window of time, Raph.
I really do.
Divulge all your business, but
13 days, 12 hours, 52 minutes, and 19 seconds, says the timer on the website.
Oh my.
Nice.
I'm feeling every second.
well, and the beauty of this is that while you can wait 13 days, 12 hours, and so odd seconds to give Raph your money, you can go ahead and play the zone GM-less with your friends, enemies, lovers, doesn't matter, whatever you're into. You can play it right now at thezonerpg.com. Get a game going just like we're going to be doing. We're finishing up our exploration of the zone that we commenced last Tuesday. We're going to try to get to the center of this bad boy. At least one of us is.
The rest of us will probably die.
Let's see how much we can recap of what we did. We went through the boundary. In the boundary, there were I remember there being gouts of flame because my character tried to catch one, and now it's part of his hand. That's how he's been mutated. He has kind of like an ongoing crystallized flame at the end of one of his limbs. Then we went through the boundary and got to a water treatment facility. Raph is now like, who aged partially? I know Raph aged completely. His whole body, like he turned like an 80-year-old man.
That was me. Just my hands.
And just Haley's old. She's got old hands.
Old hands. Barbara.
Which some people find sexy. I'm just gonna note that. And then Raph has also got some kind of a amberized quality to a calcified amber quality to your skin at this point, right?
Yeah, there's a recurring theme of kind of caramelization going on.
Yes.
Both the environment and my skin.
I think Duke may have a hidden mutation, but I don't know what that is. And then Kyle, how have you mutated so far?
Let's see. I believe the only mutation I currently have is that my left hand is possessed by that creature and is trying to turn into like a metallic claw of some kind with
That's right.
mouths and eyes on it.
You got the rusted claw. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
The rusted claw.
We went through the water treatment facility, which has been abandoned except for a quadrupedal creature that when it opens up its maw, it reflects back at you yourself. I mean, it has a shimmering reflection. We were lured in, and then we tried to fight it off. But when we did so, it kind of just embedded itself into the surrounding environments, including Kyle. Man, what a deal. As we went further, we went into town. We found that there were people from the previous expedition that were still alive, at least one, though they were trapped inside of a bank vault in which the atoms of the metal in the bank vault door had been pulled out and then kind of reconstituted on other people, including a lot of charred skeletal remains that littered the town itself, if I remember correctly. And then we got inside and we burned our way through the vault door to find that, was it Raph's old boss?
That's right.
What a way to get back at your boss. is basically the bottom half melted of this person.
Correct. The bottom half melted into, if I recall correctly, the bottom half melted into the kind of caramelized into the vault in a kind of delicious philosopher's stone kind of situation, right?
That's what it was, right? So everything is kind of being swirled around and reconstituted, melted down, reintegrated in some way, shape, or form, or at least that's our suspicion at the moment. I melded mentally, or at least I'm getting some communication from the zone itself, from the sentience at the beginning, and maybe I'm keen on doing its will. Who knows? Who knows, guys? We are a hidden traitor kind of crew. In any case, we fashioned a litter and we're moving this Raph's old boss with us as we move towards the center of the zone because I believe that the zone wants them, and for some reason, something else trapped them inside to hide it from the zone. In any case, that's where we left off, and then we came to the campfire. Did I miss anything vital? Anybody want to?
So the last thing
Yeah,
at the
left out?
campfire was that it was all like it was already roaring. There was already wood ready to add to it, a pile of kindling nearby. I think the campfire was like, in my mind, maybe I didn't express this fully, but was like fully ready for us to just, pick a tent and go to sleep.
All prepared for us. We are
Yes.
honored guests. A couple things to note about the game. We told you about the narrative, what happened in the previous game, just so you'd be caught up when we started exploring deeper. This is intended normally for basically for one shots or for a group to experience this, and they probably won't recur in any other way. I guess you could take as long as you wanted to if you wanted to do multiple scenes with each card pull. But as we go through, there are certain actions, moves that we can call on. We can call on moves like taking stock? I believe that's the one where we all get to make a descriptive part of what we see, hear, smell, any of those types of things. Taste, if we want to start licking stuff, that might be what we do. Something's not right. That's when we get to go, man, things weren't tough enough. Let me tell you something that's creepy going around. And then someone else goes, oh, it's even worse than that. And they get to embellish upon that point. And then when someone does something, one of the players or they themselves can go, doesn't sound very easy. Not so easy, is it? And then they get to draw a card. And that's where we get to see the outcome of our actions. We don't have any stats. We have our descriptors, where we came from. We have our obsessions, our phobias, and why we can't go home again. Raph is what were you? You were a bureaucrat. Haley and Duke were entrepreneurs trying to make some money off of this bad boy. Kyle is a scientist trying to figure out its inner workings. And I am a writer coming home to where I was, my family left me or abandoned me. I was adopted, and I'm coming back to where my biological family is from. Anything else I should add, Raph? We were ready to get roaring.
Let's
Like this
get into
campfire.
it. Yeah.
All right, I'm going to start my turn. This is done with cards that are going to be laid out. You're going to see this on your screen as we move through this part. I am the director. You are now entering the more dangerous part of the zone. Characters will start to meet their fate and become one with the zone. Check in. You're past halfway. This is a great time to take a few minutes to stretch, get a snack, drink some water, or visit. That's what we did beforehand, right? This is a note to players more than the characters, right?
Sometimes a break takes a week, totally
yeah.
fine.
That's what we did.
Totally fine.
We were meeting the cues as it was.
A
Now
lot
we're
of
gonna
water.
move to the. Oh yeah. I should always drink more water.
Excuse me?
Oh.
All right. The entrepreneur, Barbara Tesla, must die in the coming scene. They cannot be stopped by not so easy cards, only by another player asking to claim their fate, even after the scene is underway. So you might be thinking, wow, poor old Haley. But Haley now gets to, unfettered from this life as Barbara Tesla, just act as the zone with impunity. After death, Haley will continue playing turns as the zone.
Oh. I have to accept this fate, I assume?
Well, unless
Someone
somebody
else
else
can claim it for
claims
you.
it for you. Anybody gotta take this bullet for old
Oh
Barbara?
boy.
I'm fine
No
with
such
dying.
name as
always.
Barbara.
I'll do it. I'm accepting my fate. If I'm the first to
Alright.
go, I'm the first to go.
You know,
Now, was
in
that
games,
just random, Raph, or was there some kind of mechanical reasoning behind that?
Nope, it's completely random. In the print
Okay.
version of the game, you just have the same kind of thing. You have some fate cards, and you lay them down, and you know, sometimes it's totally appropriate for the person who's been fated to end at that location, but sometimes players are just playing hot potato with it, just trying to claim the fate, because it just feels right to do that.
I think it feels right for the billionaire to die first.
I'm an eater. So I eat the rich.
Seems right.
Oh my gosh. That's what
Can't
happens.
argue with that.
Let's see here. I'm gonna say I really like number 3 as a prompt, just because it's got like a very I don't know what kind of town. I think that's what I'm gonna go with. A tinted local market, local farmers, souvenir vendors, local crafts you could find. I think I'm going to go with number 2. A palace of glass elevators, reflective walkways, boutiques, models staring from huge billboards so clean, the effect is kaleidoscopic.
Oh. That's a little bit unsettling.
Am I doing something wrong here? Oh, I think you get to choose,
I get
Haley.
to
I'm
choose.
sorry.
Oh, I'm good
was
with that.
I was being presumptuous because you get to die. You get to pick. Which one do you want?
Yes, whoever is fated to die takes control of the scene.
Okay.
What a jerk! I'm a jerk. That's what I'm saying.
No, I'm good with the glass elevators. That's that's what Barbara would gravitate towards, right? A palace, of course.
Also the most out of place based on what we've already kind of established. Such a clean, fancy mall. Very strange.
The queen has come home.
Yeah, super clean, even though everything has been covered in caramel so far. Or turning into it. Okay. Someone pursues their obsession with serious consequences. Why can you no longer control your obsession? And what's the worst that could happen if you succeed? What about if you fail? Now, I think my obsession was about staying alive forever. Yes, it is. I've flashed up my character sheet for the stream to see. I chose longevity. The one thing you cannot buy is more time. Barbara is obsessed with extending her life.
And here we have a location that seems to be untouched by even these processes around us. Perhaps there's a secret here.
Yeah, so
I think that feels really good. There is something here that you sense is keeping things stable,
yeah,
and you want to harness that for your own preservation.
yeah, absolutely. So should we take stock? Oh, somebody clicked it.
Just
I
thinking
guess
the
we're
same
doing
thing.
That's how this works in a collaborative game. You can, any character can choose what happens next. So, starting with me, every player adds a sensory detail to the scene. So, Barbara Barbara's really is drawn into this place. It is like she can almost physically feel it pulling her forwards and pulling her in to the center of it. Like everything in her body is like everything is compelling her body to walk forwards, almost like she's in a trance.
One weird detail about the like any mall, it's got those "you are here" kind of maps. but every time you look away and you look back at the map, it's changed a little bit, sometimes a lot of it.
Hudson Burke tries to, he sees a can of soda and he's parched. When he opens it up, there's a clink of the metal, but there's no, satisfying carbonation fizz sound. He tosses that aside, opens another one. Same.
Where's my soda? All this stuff around here. Ain't nothing real good to drink. I wonder if there's some sort of like saloon in this place, or maybe like a Margaritaville.
The air also has a very stale quality, right? Like if you ever go to a hotel room that used to be a smoking room, but then they were like, "Oh, we aired it out. It's been aired. It hadn't been used like that for 6 years, but you can still kind of smell it somewhere underneath it." It's got that quality to it.
I think Hines is probably not super interested in this location, really wants to get back out there to the place where there seems to be more like chemical action, more things that are more related to his field and what he's trying to discover out here. But like there's he keeps trying to like motion for y'all to like return back to where the door is, but he keeps turning in the wrong direction. Something about like the innate like sense of direction is just off here. There's almost like your internal compass is just spinning.
I think Hudson finally finds a little sit down place with an empty bar, and all the bottles are kind of on the bar up high, and he goes to grab one, and it doesn't move, but the one 3 to the right of it just kind of falls off the shelf and smashes on the ground. He tries this with a few more bottles, and there's a lot of loud noise.
Okay.
And broken glass.
So taking stock of this scene, then we've noticed that it feels like it's just like almost got this magnetic quality that it's pulling you forwards, but to what we're not sure. To Kyle's point, and then there's weird stuff going on with the bottle's liquids. They appear to be none, and there is a map that is constantly shifting.
Something's not right here. The escalator does not then does not start to wind itself back up and through the gears to then guard down. It goes, and we could, I'm going to leave this to somebody else. There is clearly a hole in the ground emptying out to where the escalator should be. So instead of a mall floor, which is otherwise very sterile, marble tiles or concrete or whatever was going to be the material there, it instead goes through a ragged hole down into the earth beneath the mall.
It's worse than that. That's what Barbara is being pulled toward.
And I had a sensory detail.
Uncontrollably. Yeah, go for it.
When we were crossing the boundary, there was a sense of air pressure just kind of changing and that kind of breathing, and I think we absolutely have that with the hole. It's got that kind of air pressure coming in and out, maybe even slightly warm.
Oh, that's gross. Barbara loves it.
It's so gross.
She's sure that this must mean that this is the life source. This is where we find eternity, and is happy to be dragged forward. She's convinced that this is going to be exactly what she came here looking for.
Terrence is going to try to find some kind of it could be a home goods store, even something as vapid as like a candle shop, or Bed Bath and Beyond or something like that, right? Not oldsoulartisan.com. That's not vapid. That's a great one. You can get 15% off when you use coupon code OFFMETA. Any case, looking for something to fashion as a as a lantern or like a receptacle around this crystallized fire that's become a part of his hand, or the nub on his wrist. So he is plumbing through one of these stores and trying to make this of his own design, or maybe from designs whispered to him from an external source.
A quick question for the group. So are folks noticing that Barbara is kind of gleefully descending this escalator to her
with her
demise?
hands outstretched, because they're the bits that have aged, and she's like wants her hands to be made young forever.
Yeah, I'll just throw out that the bureaucrat sees this and kind of shouts to Barbara, Barbara, what are you doing?
This is it. This is the answer that we've all been searching for. You should join me.
The bureaucrat remembers a file from the depths of the archives about this particular place, this maw. Strange scientific readings came from it. Deep down, he obviously doesn't want Barbara to die, but he's also very curious what will happen, because there's pretty strong evidence that she might be right. So he kind of, in a kind of half-hearted way, kind of goes, "Are you sure?"
Your old boss looks up at you, Roberto, from the litter, and goes, Did you carry my lower half in one of those containers in a bucket, maybe? If I slide down there and position, I can have my legs back. Oh, it hurts.
Whatever you want, boss. This triggers the bureaucrat's phobia of the chain of command.
I kind of just been treating this poor being, trying to figure out how their lower body has turned into some like single amalgamation of material that is apparently part bank material, part human body. Has been trying to like keep them comfortable, but at this point, when it's clear that they want to go towards the escalator, we've got another person going that way. Yeah, I guess we can start moving them that direction as well if we want to start. I too am interested in seeing what would happen if we allow whatever this is to enter into this hold.
I'm going to say that that's not so easy.
Alright.
It's almost like this floor, when you pull the litter across it in certain spots, has no friction. So as you start to move closer to that mall, or the waiting escalator, right? You just start sliding across the floor in directions that maybe you didn't intend. It's very disorienting.
The maw in the mall.
Yeah, the mall in the mall.
Mall.
This is also just a voice exercise, right? All right, Kyle.
All right.
Yes.
So it seems that I am able to begin the process of moving, but I call out to our good friend Raph here to you know this man's wishes. He wishes to help me move him.
Her. It was
her?
yeah, it was at the top. Was her name what was her name?
Oh, that's right. Yes. We just established a name for this character.
She had a name that ended with an A or an O too. I remember that.
I think it might have been Barbara. Yeah.
No, that's Haley.
That's
There's not
me.
two
It
Barbaras.
was
it
no, it was
very similar,
Teresa.
though.
I think it was
Teresa,
Teresa
thank you.
or something like that.
Yes,
Either
very similar.
way, she looks up from the litter and she's like, "No, I want my," she kind of looks over at at the bureaucrat. It's just kind of with a nod. It's kind of like, "No, you'll do this for me." And the bureaucrat subserviently obeying the chain of command. It's that classic moment where like your boss asks you to do something that is a terrible idea, but you don't want to tell them because you're kind of maybe a little bit scared. You're like, they must have a good reason. And so, I feel like the bureaucrat kind of, Roberto makes eye contact with Kynes and takes over the litter and just kind of
Yes,
The,
kind
the,
of just eager to see what is going to happen when these two disparate forces meet, and is
Mhm.
eagerly looking to gather some more information about what is happening here.
And I think at that moment, the floor, it's not just that the floor is slippery, it's the floor has kind of like a directionality. Like it's almost you
Hmm.
get a little nudge, and it's almost like it's helping to move this disembodied torso to the top of the stairs to to join Barbara. She's going down. How far down the escalator is Barbara at this point?
I say it's moving real slow.
Real slow.
Yeah, so let's say she's like halfway down.
What's her demeanor?
She is excited. She's happy. So she's calm, but she's so sure that this is the answer to all of her problems that money couldn't buy. This is why she came to the zone. She is going to fulfill her destiny.
What's down there? What do you see as you're going down this escalator?
The sort of the pulsing, the breathing is it has like more of a sort of liquid sucking sound to it. So with each, like you're squeezing a heart kind of thing, and like it's like each time. Yeah, there's like a squeezing, squelching sort of in rhythm with the breathing.
I want to add that I just want to, and I'm actually super curious what everyone else's characters' reactions are, but I think for the bureaucrat, have you seen Midsummer?
Mm-hmm.
Midsummer, you know that kind of beatific smile that that everyone has at the end, where they're just kind of like, even as terrible things are happening, they're it's kind of like that, and I think the bureaucrat is feeling that strongly. Is almost kind of reverently. It takes his boss puts her on the litter, almost as this kind of sacrifice, and also is just kind of intellectually feeling this is probably not right, but like emotionally it's just feeling, yeah, this feels good for some reason.
As you lick your lips going down the escalator, whoever's closest by, I guess Haley or Barbara, it almost tastes like, it doesn't taste like citrus in terms of, it doesn't taste sweet, but it tastes a little acidic. You get that little pop, like something has a little bit of vinegar in it or something like that.
Mm.
I feel like
Okay.
Hudson's not really around right now to really add any sort of input
Well,
to that
so the
situation.
division there is Hudson is
Yeah.
not. I'm not. The character is not telling you about what they
Yeah.
experience, smell, sound, hear, any of that kind of stuff.
The
You as
player
a
is.
you are running.
As a
You're wearing two
player.
hats. You got two hats on, Duke.
Gotta get one.
One of them's a descriptor.
I see.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like
What else am I
And-
experiencing? What else is Barbara experiencing as she's going down this escalator?
as Barbara kind of is going down the escalator, her sense of like personal gravity is kind of lightening. There's maybe stiffness in her shoulders that she's had for years, and it's kind of like going away, as kind of blood flow is going back, to a place where it was when she was younger. And I feel like the more she goes down, the better she feels, like with all of her aches and pains kind of going away with this, reduced gravity.
And as Barbara realizes that she's feeling this, she's like, I feel incredible. This is working. You should join me.
Terrence walks back down to where y'all have assembled around the mall. Well, I guess not Hudson. I try to find Hudson as you're drinking alone in this bar, and I stop. I went as you're trying to pour something. I say, I don't think you're gonna like any of that.
Hudson kind of takes a whiff. It was his old, old canned, or not canned, old bottled beer, to see if it'd be anything better. Doesn't notice any bubbles, and is like, to heck with this, and just downs it anyways because he's thirsty. Grimaces, and is like, all right, let's go, Terrence, down here.
So this place. You ever have a Polaroid camera, Hudson?
When I was a kid, yeah.
That'll work.
We
When
used
you
to
were a
have
kid, is
couple.
fine with me.
Yeah.
So this place is if reality took a picture and said, this is that time. That's why none of these things are it's not gonna taste like anything. Nothing's gonna pop. Nothing's gonna sizzle. Nothing's gonna, fizz.
Yeah.
And as we walk up to the escalator, is Roberto dragging that litter on there?
Yeah. At this point, I think, and I just want to throw a concept out at the group, which is that the escalator is going to reject the second offering, and
I like it.
But also cause, as I lift my former boss, because I think it's too juicy to have my phobia disappear. I'd rather have it merge with my upper torso as well.
Well, I was gonna.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting.
Well, we've established that the boss is kind of gelatinous. So what if
Yep.
the boss is getting like seeping into like the gears of the escalator? Like you're not supposed to have like shoelaces, and it's like it starts chewing up the bottom of the boss until they're only like partially there, leaving them primed to latch onto your remaining body.
That's the horrifying and perfect.
So
The escalator is not accepting it. The escalator's like, no.
So
I very casually slide you remember when kids used to have those shoes that had like roller skates in the sole? You know what I'm talking about? Kind of do
Heelys?
that action across the floor towards y'all, and I have this weird makeshift lantern with a knob on it, and it's like I turn the knob and it gets brighter, the little crystallized fire. I go, isn't that cool? Isn't that neat? She really does provide. What you doing, Roberto?
So I'm facing away from you, just kind of trying to. A second ago, I was just trying to prevent my boss from getting like sucked into the gaps in the gears of the escalator, and I have my back to you. And for a minute, I kind of do this kind of like weird movement, and then I turn around, and up here, I'm looking at you, and you look down slightly, you see that my shoulder has become my boss's head.
Oh.
Kind of like this. Just like poking out. Kind of like horribly merged with the clothes and the skin and the kind of caramelized kind of.
Oh, this is gross. I
Wet.
love it.
Oh.
Well,
So
no, go ahead. Sorry.
I think I want to call for something's not right here. I think we've got the escalator has been, I don't know, it's rejecting something that's trying to enter it. It's malfunctioning partially. Perhaps it's seizing up. Meanwhile, we've got the entrepreneur down at the bottom, probably reaching the hole that's down there. But there seems to be so much commotion and so much uncertainty with how the escalator is continuing to function.
What do you think's not right?
It's so much worse, though. Yeah, I guess, is that the something's not right?
Yeah, the escalator is malfunctioning now.
Rejecting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Oh, it's much worse than that. Your body knows when it's digesting poison, and Barbara is significantly less mutated or affected than the rest of us have been. She doesn't have any noticeable mutations that we can see. She doesn't have a rusted hand claw, or she's not a two-headed troll man with caramelized skin. And she certainly doesn't have a crystallized fire flame in her hand. I think it's willing to eat her, but not the boss. That it was kind of vomiting that back up a little bit. It might even eat Hudson, but I don't think we should try.
So
It
Barbara
desired a pure offering.
from the bottom turns around and says, "It's not going to eat me. It has chosen me. I can feel myself healing. I am going to become the best version of myself." And she is almost at the bottom of the escalators. And she turns around from you and like throws out her hands. And as she sort of like starts to tilt forward off the end of the escalator, she is like, something comes up out of the hole, something really gloopy, and that squelching noise is really loud, filling the whole room. And it's a mall, so it's a big room. She as she's sort of enveloped by this big glob of sort of like amber colored, like sort of translucent, as she starts to sink into it, she realizes that her hands have not gotten younger. In fact, as she looks down at her body, she realizes that she's decaying rapidly. And you see like her face contort into a silent scream.
And there she was, preserved in time, her horror, her realization, stock still, a wonderful painting that only 4 other people, sorry, Teresa, 5 other people would ever see. And then they moved on.
4.1 other people.
Oh,
I'm imagining that we didn't just move on. We were kind of almost angrily like vibrated away from that area by this maw. It was like didn't speak, but it was communicating clearly this kind of leave.
so I'm not describing what actually happened. I am narrating for myself. Terrence is out loud
Yeah, that's
externalizing
the thing, right?
Yes.
his version of events.
Yeah.
So it could be like totally not true.
Yeah, we
That's
don't have
just-
to have moved on, right? So,
Yeah.
yeah, we can like finish up that scene with Barbara and her silent scream, and maybe how you all react to that.
Well, I do like the idea that like those effects that were pulling us here are perhaps instead reversed. So any way we look, it's instead away. That we are pulled back away from this place. We can only find the way out now.
I think it's well, who tries to leave first? Who tries to get away from it? Maybe I'll just say this for myself. I just turn around and I say, and I backed all nonchalant about it and try to walk away, but I don't think it's so easy.
I think Hudson, after kind of
I can't
seeing
do it.
You're gonna have to resolve that in the next scene.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
My
Yeah,
bad.
this was the death is also the end of the scene.
Oh,
It's
That
just if
makes
there were
sense.
any sort of lingering reactions that you wanted to add
Yeah.
on as she died. So if
Hudson.
I'll add one. I think the
Yeah.
I think the bureaucrat and the bureaucrat's boss kind of look on at this moment and its kind of strange beauty, just understanding what it means to be part of something greater. Understanding also that they've missed the boat. They were not pure enough to be accepted as an offering, and you know what? That's okay. You just gotta accept yourself. You just gotta accept yourself.
And someone else sometimes too.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Hudson kind of sees, Terrence, Roberto, and Teresa Once they're done observing, the pit, Hudson kind of had a bad view from where he was, and starts making his way across the, frictionless floor to get a view of what happened. Falls and kind of just slides his way towards the edge. Manages to pick himself up, and he takes a look in and sees Barbara's encapsulated body, and just kind of is in awe of the feeling in the air, the pulsating that we kind of had has sort of stopped, and he notices is like, wow, this is not the place to be right now. Don't want to be around when this starts again, and starts looking for the exit signs.
Well, in fact, once it has finally consumed all of Barbara, so I mean, like there was the body part, and there was some kind of like celestial matter, right? Some soul stuff. It decided to leak out of you too. Once it's gotten its fill, you hear the sound of like all those cans that were opened up. You hear, right? And you feel like all of a sudden, Hudson, you feel drunk. Like it just hits you like a punch to the face, and the sound kind of whooshes in all around us, and it's just like this place was holding its breath, and now it's inhaled again.
Okay. All right.
And I even want to. I'm almost considering going as far to say that like if the hole in the ground next to the escalator was an orifice, it just closes back shut.
Feels right.
Oh, yeah, that's all right. That's great.
Can it? Oh, I want a detail too.
Yeah.
The escalator. It's like, imagine like you're sticking out your tongue, and then you close your mouth. That's what happens with the escalator. The escalator just kind of goes.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Should we move on to the next bit?
Indeed.
What happens after death? Once your character dies, you transition to embodying the zone. You still take normal turns as a director, use all the moves, and so on. Now is the chance to focus fully on creating the weird, magical, and horrible situations for the remaining players. So I'm going to take a look at your obsessions and phobias so that we can incorporate them into scenes. All right, I got it.
All right. Expedition is at the mall. Interesting. So looks like we're still around. Oh, no, we can do another scene at the mall, or we can move on to the office. I feel like we've all like our characters are, we were feeling this impulse to go towards it, and now we kind of have like the reverse effect, kind of in set. So I'm okay with moving on to the office if y'all are.
Yep.
All right. Ooh.
Oh.
I kind of want Terrence Queen to stick around.
Yeah.
Perhaps I will take your place on this one. We'll see how things go.
Sweet. You're so sweet.
You want a narrator for the rest of the story.
Exactly, right? So I will listen to playing Tyler's Fate. So I will. So yeah, so do I claim it now, or should we see how things play out and decide if we want to swap midway through?
Claim it now. You can claim at any time, by the way. So
all right.
Oh, okay.
Who knows what will happen?
In the middle of the
somebody
scene, I could
try.
go. I step in front of that. I could have done that.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's
All
why
right.
that's down there. Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
But yeah, it's Kyle's the director now.
All right. Our options are, let's see, endless cubicle stretched too endlessly, paper everywhere. Okay. Apparently portraits and original posters look sickly under the fluorescent flicker. Playful, colorful place. Some paper reminds me of luxury kindergarten. Post-its, a lone Bluetooth headset, whiteboards full of brainstorms. Charts cover walls, data still streams with specialized display. Scientific instruments hum. Whatever they tracked here, it was important. Oh,
Quick note,
mean-
Raph. Haley is an award-winning editor.
I haven't won awards. Just
Noted.
just
I thought
the
you won.
games.
I thought you won an Emmy.
The
Thought you got a
games
silver.
that I've
Oh,
worked
okay.
on have won awards.
That's pretty. I mean, that. If I were
Edited,
on,
Tyler.
if I were on a football team that won the Super Bowl,
Mhm.
Yeah, you get,
Award-
you
I'm
get
an
a ring.
award-winning
Yeah.
Yeah.
linebacker that
That's
did
right.
not play.
Award-winning is a transitive property.
Mhm.
Yes.
All right.
Jiangxi, blood on,
Well-
blood in the banquet hall. I always want to say blood on because of Clock Tower.
Because of the clock
Yeah.
tower.
I really there's several good options here. The endless cubicles is really tempting, but so is the data, because I feel like if we're gonna kill off kinds here, I feel like having access to all this data could be really I'm gonna go with one. I think one is just the most interesting of the choices. So endless cubicles stretch endlessly. Paper everywhere. Family portraits and motivational posters look sickly under the fluorescent flicker. We wish to take a risky shortcut. So we're trying to find our way down to the center. We've passed through like an industrial. We've passed through kind of like a mall, and so now we're like on the outskirts of like kind of like the industrial-ish area that's kind of like just outside of most malls. And we're in this what seems to just go on endlessly through like cubicle after cubicle after cubicle. So yeah, how could we possibly shortcut what seems to be endless? What is the method by which we would possibly do so?
Could be like an exceptionally high, office building with a lot of glass at the top. So maybe we can kind of use that as a vantage point to get a better grasp on what's around us, and
Instead of trying to go through, we go up. Okay.
yeah,
All right.
taking our
So
surroundings.
we've
Well,
decided.
and there's the aspect of if it's endless, right? That there may be, bear with me here. If we postulate that this zone is taking things, is taking a place and then saying, this was a time period that I want to preserve for some reason. We don't know why, right? And it says, okay, now we've come across this. We've intuited for some reason that this office complex is has doors in it in its endless structure going upwards or downwards or however. Inside of that complex are doorways to other snapshots in time that this zone has collected. That we can go from instead of searching around for the one, whatever we're trying to get to the center of it all, that this allows us gateways to different points in time and places.
By its endless nature, there must exist some place in here that is a shortcut through its endless nature. It's like a kind of a multiversey kind of theory to it.
Yeah.
So by definition, one of the parts of being endless is to have a part that is not endless.
Well, so it's like if you had a big loop, right?
Yep.
And you go, wow, man, I'm stuck in this loop. But I can also pierce the loop somewhere. We don't know how yet, but if we pierce the loop somewhere, now we're going in a direction that we would not have otherwise been going with momentum.
The bureaucrat mutters to the others, this reminds me of my last trip to IKEA.
And as we all know, the best part of IKEA is at the end. That's what we all seek.
I think
Yes.
the best
cinnamon
part of
rolls.
IKEA are the meatballs.
Yes. Exactly. The restaurant at the end.
Oh,
Well, I guess it's
yeah.
bookend. You can go to the restaurant before or after, but never at the middle. Interesting.
You go to get meatballs at the beginning, and then at the end you get a hot dog and an ice cream cone as you leave.
Okay.
8
Not
hours
actual
later.
science. as we all know.
Exactly. You need another meal by the time you have gone through the endless hallways of IKEA.
All right.
In
So
keeping-
we brainstormed. Oh, so good.
I was just saying, in keeping with Tyler's notion about the donut, it's kind of like how with IKEA, it's a maze, but there's always like a straight path backwards. You just never think to look behind you.
All right, so we found ourselves in this seemingly drab office, but as we continue to explore, we seem to find variations, and they seem to be guiding us towards different themes, different locations. We open doors, we find ourselves in office rooms that seem to be from different offices, and perhaps we all get together, we discuss our options, and we realize that we need to find the secret path that will lead us out. Perhaps it's backwards, perhaps it's upwards. Do we split up then, perhaps? Do we each take a different direction and see if we can find one of these special paths that lead onwards and outwards?
I was thinking about something, and maybe this will decide that for us if y'all think this is worthwhile as an idea. But the things have been pulled out of, the atomic structure from the time, and it's usually been dispersed around. But that was because that was where it was most closely pulled from. But those things, that matter is going somewhere. So it's almost like there is back in the Depression in Oklahoma, we messed up the soil so bad that the wind would just pick up the dirt. Right? It would just throw the topsoil around. You'd have these black blizzards, what they called them. And so it's almost got that quality. As you go through the air, especially after we got out of the mall back into the world outside of it, the town outside of it, there's almost like this just kind of dirt debris floating through the air. And maybe it's, steel from the vault door. Maybe it's flesh from people, but it's all been kind of, it's all just kind of been broken down into this.
Perhaps some of it assembles into paper and staples and other things in this endless office space.
Go, but yeah.
Paper in every possible state of repair and disrepair, from perfect sheets of paper that look like they got printed yesterday to individual letters and words just like floating around, and then just dust that might have been paper a very long time ago.
And so we were following its flow. We didn't just come to this office because we stumbled across it. We were, let's follow the, this detritus seems to be going somewhere, so let's see what shore it washes up, kind of deal.
So, must we break down a wall? Must we try and break through what seems to be the path that we've been set upon? Should we try and bust through one of these cubicle walls and see onto which obscure shore we find ourselves? Do we want... so I guess, do we want to have a description of what's happening, or do we want to have someone try to do that and see what happens because of it?
Oh, you want to say it's not so easy? Okay.
Maybe we've decided that we need to burst through the side of the donut, as Tyler said.
I think I'm just going to riff off that for a second and say the bureaucrat, and like not just the bureaucrat, but it's almost like led by the bureaucrat's boss, who's kind of not taking over, but just keeps asking for things, and the bureaucrat just obviously doesn't feel like he can say no. They keep seeing files that she'll be like, "Oh, can you check that file out?" Or "That looks interesting." And so he ends up doing what you're saying, but not from having a theory about it, but just starts digging deeper and deeper into a stack of files and paper. Just like kind of like losing any real sense of the context, but just whatever's in front of him, he's just getting deeper and deeper and deeper into the files, just digging and digging and digging.
Sounds not so easy to me, Roberto.
All right, so what I'm trying to do is dig, and I'll subconsciously to the other side. Yeah. Let's just say the other side, whatever that might be. Oh goodness!
Mutated again.
Oh boy!
At least it's a helpful mutation this time.
Yeah.
So buried deep in the files is another old coworker.
Oh no!
How was that helpful?
Who had come
3 heads
before.
are better than 2, as they say.
Right. That's what they always say.
Well, also the coworker isn't just any coworker. The coworker is his boss's boss.
Oh.
And this is helpful because his boss's boss was an excellent archivist, really had like a lot of historical context on this filing system, and therefore might be able to help navigate it.
Ah, yes, perhaps.
But the boss is basically just like half a face. Like, just there's so little left that he finds him just kind of lifting a sheet of paper in amidst the mushy stacks of information. He just like stumbles on him, and before he knows it, the face has just kind of looks up and goes, "Oh, Roberto, it's been a while." And next thing he knows, it's just embedded in his forearm.
See, you have half a
Oh.
face embedded in your forearm.
So I guess Kynes notices that
Horrible.
you've crawled into, you've kind of uncovered an area of documents, and perhaps he's leafing through these documents, and these things are telling him, endless knowledge of various of things, like deep secrets that are contained within these documents. There's a lot of it's like kind of like almost like random permutations of letters, but every so often like phrases jump out that like kind of draw like there are deep secrets embedded in these pages. That perhaps he may not be able to, like, could he, there's so much here, could he leave and abandon all this vital knowledge? Perhaps the secret to whatever he's searched for is if he just keeps continuing to read through these pages after pages after pages.
Roberto's
But I will
boss's
say,
boss.
Kinds, it's not so easy to understand it, to put it all together, to contextualize all that information is not so easy.
At least I'll see how easy it is.
Yeah.
Ooh, interesting. Okay, so
Not their fun.
You
so
understand
Kynes
it now.
suddenly Kynes manages to piece together from a few of the sheets after consulting with Rath's new mouth that's whispering, these dark dark secrets of file storage to Kynes, and he suddenly begins to piece together some of the mysteries of this infinite space of data, and perhaps in putting together some of this papers, perhaps a rift is opened.
A rift.
We should take stock on what this rift looks and feels
We
like.
should.
Unless you want to describe it. It's up to you.
No, I would love to. I would love to get y'all's opinions on what is inside this rift, because we need to come up with a challenge that erupts from this thing as well.
I was thinking that maybe each of the pieces of paper that Kynes has touched, like, come together in sort of a what's the spinny wind?
A
Like a
windmill,
whirlwind,
a pinwheel.
No.
tornado.
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Spinny
The
wind.
spinny wind.
Vinny.
I think we're
I think-
under a spinny wind watch right now here in Alabama.
I think we should just call it spinny wind from now on.
I think we
It's
should.
good.
Definitely.
Oh, I'm
The scientific
sorry.
term. Mhm.
On all of the bits of paper that Kynes looked at to reach this understanding, form this tornado, which is what is creating this rift.
I think one important detail is, like, so we've all been kind of following Kynes. The bureaucrat stepped back and then just kind of following orders from his forearm as it guides Kynes deeper and deeper. And I would say this tunnel of papers that is now the front of it is spinny wind. Like, if you look behind us, like, we've actually gone like a long way. We can't even see the cubicles anymore.
Yeah, they say like a spinny wind normally sounds like a freight train when it comes over you. I don't know if y'all ever been in a spinny wind situation, but that's what it sounds like. But this doesn't sound like that. It sounds like a modem. It has that kind of very shrill,
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
And now your mom's telling you to get off the phone because she's on AOL. God damn it. No, but it has that sound, that shrill modem noise, and it changes pitch and tone. It has dynamics to it.
Yes, I like the idea that like Kynes interprets this as like kind of like a fax machine. Like the data is leaking, the knowledge is being sucked, out of this place and into some other location. Perhaps this location is where we need to escape to, but Kynes is like, no, we must close this. We're losing so much knowledge. Look at all these. He's trying to grab all these papers and trying to use them to recontextualize this rift into something that will like reclose and leave us trapped back in this location again.
As
I assume
Terrence
that is
tries,
what everyone else wishes to happen. Yeah.
yeah, and there is some. I don't know if I want to take full description of it, but there is a being, a creature, a custodian that is trying to, as Kynes is also trying to patch this hole. There's something on the outside that comes around, and they loom over it. We can see their shadow before we can see them, and they start to try to close this gap too. Terrence, hearing what Kynes is saying, seeing what we wandered through this complex, I'm gonna try to leap through this hole past that custodian.
That doesn't sound too easy.
Oh man, is it hard?
Wow.
I bet it's hard.
Ah.
Yes. Again?
You
A
lucky
more
dog!
serious
You lucky
challenge?
dog!
How many of
It's-
these did you put in the deck, Raph? I want to know. All right.
That is statistically incredibly unlikely.
What? So if you have the hard copy, that the card that we played previously would be going to a discard, right? It wouldn't get like shuffled back in.
The only way this would have happened is if the previous card was the last card in the deck, and then it reshuffled it, and then it happened to put it on top. This is amazing. I've never seen this happen before.
Here we are.
Well, apparently that's not that creature's final form.
It is
Good.
not that creature's final form. I am. Yeah. So part of this has been patched up. You were trying to do it, and you're Kynes is borderline hysterical. No, all of this, it's going to be lost forever. We need this, he says, I need this. I need this.
Mhm.
And I'm trying to rustle up Hudson and the three that are one of bureaucracy. What a metaphor. I even say that out loud. What a metaphor you are. And then I try to pull you through, or I'm at least if you're not coming along, I burst through this. But we finally get a glimpse of the custodian, and it is this. It has moth-like wings, and a head that has a long. What is that called? It's not a. Is it a prispus or a priscum?
Proboscis?
Oh, proboscis?
Yeah, proboscis.
There it is.
And so it has this long thing. So it is taking bits of the outer part of this shell and then trying to swallow it and then regurgitate it right on there, like a wasp building a nest. But it has, but as we start to escape out of, or as I start to emerge from the donut, it has a separate form. It basically becomes, instead of having different parts of the hive that are, this is a worker and this is a soldier and this is that's role and that's role, it changes to meet the need. So all of a sudden it has a stinger, which is radiant, and you can feel the heat coming off of it. And it is approaching all of us that are trying to escape through the hole.
Kyle, do you have an idea for Kynes' death? I have an idea if you're open to it.
Oh,
Not
I'd
for
love
right
your idea.
now necessarily, but
Sure.
so in the tornado of paper, basically everybody else manages to cross through, and Kynes gets stuck and is just in this endless white.
Mm.
As
Yeah, 'cause
part of
I-
it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I want him to I think he would want to stay here where the knowledge is. So if we could punish him with that as well, I think that would be good. Perhaps perhaps, I mean, we already have a theme for kinds of transformation of like a monstrous thing taking over. So perhaps kinds could become like a guardian of this place, could be corrupted and made to become like it's like the other half of the watchdog left here.
Do you think that that thing that merged with you earlier is starting to, like, you are kind of hybridizing your mind, like what your desires are as kinds with what its desires are? We don't know what it wanted when we went into that
Sure.
place. We just, stabbed it or whatever. I don't remember what we did to it, but we did something to it. It was bad.
Yes. Perhaps the many eyes that it is growing on the metallic part is allowing me to read more and more of the documents, and it's allowing me to speak more and more of the secret words that allowing me to control this rift. And so I give in. The kinds gives in to the call of this being, and begins to further like rust over. But how are y'all getting out of this? It seems like y'all are the gap, I assume, is coming to a close with two people on either end trying to close this rift.
Well, I have one horrifying idea, which is that the creature and kinds. I just want to throw this out as an option for you to
Sure.
either take or leave. But when you said the idea that this creature has a proboscis, it's so perfect because those are used, right, to like suck the nectar out of the flower, and here the nectar is the knowledge. And so wouldn't it be terrible if kinds also suddenly found that he was transforming into a similar creature, and that it looks very scary, but it's actually just like a knowledge sucker kind of entity that maybe there's many that live in this office. Who knows? All we know is that Kynes is perhaps becoming one as well.
Yeah, and so looking at Kynes' sheet, his phobia is about being trapped between life and death. So maybe these things just exist in this endless space of paper and office. And
The worker bees to the queen of knowledge.
Can never leave and can never go back.
Perhaps they have no eyes and no mouth by which to use this knowledge, or to they can only interface with it in the way that they have been designed to, so they can never actually make use of this knowledge in a way that they wish to. But they have all of it as well.
No mouth with which to, some might say, scream.
I think I'm gonna do this for myself, for Terrence, which is, I think I will be able to bypass this thing if I just let it have the parts of my useful knowledge. By the end of this, if I just go, I'm gonna eject anything that isn't primal needs, isn't emotional memories, physical
fine dining, breathing,
muscle memory stuff, but like anything that is like, anything of any use in terms of high concept, I'm just gonna let that go. Just let go of it into the space, and it would, be preoccupied with swallowing that up as I move forward out into whatever through this tunnel or through the void or whatever it is that we're stepping upon.
Your perspective next novel is being left as a trail behind you to distract the creature.
I wonder if you can even read anymore.
Yeah, I don't think so.
No.
Yeah, I think the bureaucrat does the same.
Government secrets.
Yeah, exactly. Government secrets, personnel files,
But kind
knowledge.
To get rid of this knowledge. In fact, he only hoards more of it. He only begins to absorb more and more of this knowledge, as opposed to be willing to give it up, and that further fuels the transformation that you begin to see the moth-like appendages grow, the face begin to turn into the proboscis, and I believe that is y'all managed to escape to the other side of the rift,
Well, we need to
And-
know what Hudson
Oh yes,
Yeah.
Hudson.
brain's giving
Yeah,
up.
so Hudson kind of sees like this like trail like leaking out of Roberto's and Terrence's ears, and it's kind of being like sucked into the moth creature, and he kind of doesn't want that to happen because he knows like he sort of doesn't want to lose anything because he's here to on a mission. So he's just going to try and just book it right between the legs of the moth monster, and try and get through the other side of the rift.
So Hudson has
That doesn't
like,
sound so easy.
patents and stuff, right? That he can't possibly give up that knowledge because that's his way to. That's his path to acceptance. His route to fame and fortune is all of the ideas, the inventions that he has swirling around his head.
But it doesn't
Yeah,
sound
so-
so easy. That's not so easy.
Sure doesn't.
Probably isn't. Boy, howdy, he's going to try. Draw a
You
card.
handle
No,
it.
but all right. The zone mutates you, giving you an unexpected ability.
Mm.
So Hudson's kind of goes for this slide, and I guess he brushes against the stinger of the Mothman with one of his hands, kind of like as he's sliding underneath, and it sort of starts. Oh man, I don't know.
Perhaps it's injecting you with some kind of, like, maybe it's injecting you with knowledge or an idea or something that's...
Yeah. Sort of kind of gives, like, injects him with sort of a power, right? So these creatures, they kind of absorb all this knowledge, but they can't do anything with it, so they're left contemplating all this, and they have great, I guess, sense of power themselves, being these, what I'm imagining is large 8-9 foot creatures, or bigger, and it kind of just seeps in to Hudson a little bit, so he sort of he becomes like faster in a sense. His like overall like athletic ability just gets ramped up to 15, and that's sort of what lets him, I guess, move past.
Well, I mean, it's a no.
I don't know. It's a no. Yeah, it gives
Yeah.
me an unexpected ability. So,
So we have to change tact or something.
yeah.
I would suggest making either a no, because you're trying to do two things. You're trying to move past, and you're trying to move past without losing your ability, your knowledge.
Yeah.
So I think you kind of have to pick whether you lose the knowledge or whether you
You move
can move
past.
past, or whether you don't lose the knowledge and don't move past.
I feel like Hudson's gonna. I guess he's gonna get snagged, on the stinger or something, or the moth creature kind of like moves its foot and like catches it on, his the end of his coat.
Can
'Cause-
I give one suggestion? No.
Yeah.
Perhaps, I mean, if perhaps you do willing to give up basic knowledge because you're given new knowledge, something you can move forward with that is like an idea that you could use to make more money that's beyond anything that anyone's imagined
Yeah.
before now.
I was thinking that maybe
Yeah.
something that is like it's going to be brilliant, but it's going to take you time to understand it first. So you'll give up everything
Yes.
else except this one thing.
That'll do. So Hudson's kind of a shell right now, as all this knowledge transfers just occurred.
Eat up your knowledge. It is delicious. I am
Yes.
now the greatest of entrepreneurs and business people and writers.
I have this idea now of all the things.
I try to pull you
Um,
off the end of the stinger then, and I guess maybe so he's pulling everything out of you. You get this one big idea that comes back at you, this big thought, and then you're pulled off the stinger, and so we're moving forward through the tunnel. Sorry, Kyle.
All
No,
right.
you're good. All right, and so I believe with that, now with two ends of the two guardians working together to close the rift, Kynes seals himself back inside of the endless offices of knowledge, and has left y'all to move on alone without him. The scientist is now one with the zone.
Woohoo. Welcome.
F's in the chat for what's a B here, but
All right, we are moving on to the bureau.
Hudson Burke
Oh
must die.
boy, must die. Shall accept this fate. All right, so
Which
windowless
of the
concrete-
bureaus?
Yeah. Windowless concrete building, millions of pages of government records rot inside, locked offices, surrounded by an endless cubicle farm. Sounds familiar.
Yeah.
An infamous white elephant, marble columns, vaulting ceilings, and mahogany paneling to give false elegance to a mayor's extravagance. The local DMV CRT scanners, monitors rows of uncomfortable seats for waiting. Strange gaps in the thick dust implies that you're still trying to work. Feel like 2 is probably like I like 3. I think it'd be pretty funny. I feel like 2 is most interesting because we already kind of came through a huge office building. Be trapped in another loop. It's all part of the same building. We'll go with I'll go with that as fancy bureau.
Strong vibes of do y'all play Control?
No, I've not played that.
I know of it. I haven't played it, but I've seen like a little bit. All right. So someone thinks they found a way to accomplish their obsession. Who's most desperate to achieve their obsession right now? Why do they think there's a way right now? And why is this a lie? So
You can get a different prompt if you're not inspired by that one as well, Duke.
no, I think that's good because Hudson he's kind of in a shell right now because he has so much that just kind of like this great idea is so huge. He's just been like processing it in his brain, from the Mothman, and he's like starts like getting inklings of like what it is he needs to like assemble and what he needs to do to sort of make it happen. So I feel like doing that here, maybe he sees something in the bureau that like gives him inspiration to like start working on it now.
Yeah, as we come through into the marble corridors, right, on one of the rich mahogany walls, there's actually a photograph, a very nicely framed photograph of Hudson, and it says on a little plaque, "This month's hero," and it's got it's got a picture of you. You already feel like you are accepted. That you can deliver the missing piece to these people that already think so much of you. It's just somewhere in the guts of here is the fame, the fortune that you always were after, the recognition.
see. So I guess something's not right with that. Um, so Hudson's sort of looking over, at this painting or this picture that Terrence gives up, and he's like, I don't remember any of this or any of the people in this frame with them. None of the none of the faces just really are unrecognizable other than his own.
It's so much worse than that because there are no other faces to the eyes of me and Roberto.
Only Hudson can see the faces.
Only Hudson can see
So-
these faces.
So Hudson's just kind of looking at it and it's like, do you know who these people are? Terrence, Roberto.
Right. Which
he'll say-
people?
Yeah.
It says the bureaucrat and his chain of command look over. They're like, you can't see anyone.
Like
you talking
Hudson
about?
points like right at himself. He's like, "Look, there's me right there. Like, don't you see it?" And it's like,
I think perhaps maybe as y'all are continuing to be here, maybe other small details about this kind of like this extravagant office become to like match more and more of Hudson's like tastes, or like maybe like a small picture of him appears like on a side table as well.
And candles.
Is Hudson big into candles?
No,
Hudson is big into
it's a
candles.
shrine. It's like candles around the photo
Oh,
Ooh.
and flowers. All just suddenly. Yeah.
The shrine
Yes.
kind of fades in, like different elements kind of appear. What are some of the elements?
What
What's
are
in
the
this
things
shrine?
Hudson really likes? Yeah, I'm thinking that this sort of shrine, the whole room maybe becomes this shrine to Hudson. There are candles and flowers everywhere, and then all of the things, like
Yeah,
Kyle suggested, that Hudson likes
Wow.
are being laid here as offerings to Hudson.
There's a censer burning with incense, but it smells like a cologne that either a perfume of someone that Hudson really, really was into, or a cologne that he loves for himself. Like either he, I don't know which one Hudson would have to decide. Either he's so self-absorbed that he just likes to look at himself and smell this, or he has some unrequited thing that is in place here. Which is that, Hudson?
that'd be probably the first cologne he's ever bought for himself. Back when he was younger, and he's stuck with it all these years.
Here's an interesting question. You've given up a lot of this knowledge. Are these actually your memories, your opinions, or are these things that you're suddenly coming to you? Are these alien? Actually, are these things that are they're being fed into your memory and created as you experience them?
Yeah. Like maybe this perfume totally it's a perfume that is kind of whisking in the air, and to everyone else it smells kind of like an actual perfume, not so much a cologne. So everyone else smells like this nice girly scent, and Hudson's just like, yeah, he's getting totally something different in his nose. It's like, this is totally what I've had like my entire life. Don't you
What
guys
if the
think it's so good?
faces? What if the faces you saw in the you don't recognize them now, but that doesn't mean that they weren't like a big part of your life. These are all the people that you wish had recognized your brilliance. Everybody that rejected you, everybody that said, that's a dumb idea, everybody that wouldn't give you money when you needed to get financed. You just don't recognize them anymore, and we don't see them at all. And I can't read, so I don't know what the fuck's on that in that painting picture anyway.
Yeah, I think Hudson kind of is engrossed by this whole area right now, and just sort of like sits down and just starts going over things. Um, Notices, some contraption that, something that he used to work on before, but he doesn't remember it right now. He's like, oh, this, but he, like, as soon as he sees it, he starts like messing with it. He kind of says a lot like, look at this. You could, I don't know, it's like some sort of like new tool uh for like truckers or something. Kind of like an improved like jack stand. He's like, I could sell this to, to whole fleet companies and make a whole lot of money with that. And uh, or like he puts that down and like looks over at this, old 3D printer. He's like, this could make like anything. Um, if we just, started working on it. And so he's getting like more sucked into this, his like former work. Um, that
Here's a question then: are these things that you could sell, or are these things that you now remember you did sell? These are your greatest inventions that you're now finding yourself surrounded with, of having a lifetime of successfully selling all these things.
I feel like they're all like everything he's worked on has sort of been a failure up to this point. He just doesn't know that. And so as he's like, he doesn't remember any of these things that are of his own, and he doesn't remember the failures associated with them. So each time he goes up and checks something out, it's like, this is he's like, oh, this is such a great thing. Like, why didn't I think of this before?
Okay.
I think some of these things were things that he would have made or produced had he not gone into the zone.
Yeah.
Had he just kept a pace, kept his head down, and kept working, it's feeding that back to him in a way, but he doesn't realize that because it already took it out. Like the potential was always there, given time and opportunity, but now it took it out of it, and took him out of his mind, and now he's having that reflected back to him.
I feel like there are like voices starting to swirl around the chamber that Hudson can hear.
What are they saying?
Of all the rejections that he had.
Mm.
Ooh.
There's some of them are really wishy-washy, like this just isn't the right time for us to inject that kind of money into this. Some of them are really mean and like, this is never gonna work, you're stupid. Maybe it's like a parental figure or something like that who is constantly grinding him down and making him lose faith in himself. And the voices like kind of can mutate into then like praise and adulation, like, but look at all of the things that you achieved, all of the things that you created, all of this came from your mind. But then the constant voices of you're stupid, you'll never amount to anything, the rejection letters, like all of it is like this cacophony of around him. Maybe only Hudson can hear it.
I think the loudest one of the ones that really hits you hard is the one where it's just somebody prominent, somebody you respected, that keeps saying, "And who are you again? Did you have an appointment?
And who are you
again?
And who are you again?
Who are you again?
Did you have an appointment?
Do you have an appointment?
Who are you?
Did you have an appointment? Who are you again?
You're not in the diary. Who are you?
Come back when you have revenue.
Hudson he's starting to notice all these things, the voices, and is becoming less enthralled with what's in front of him, and he starts like arguing back. Like, I'm Hudson Burke. I'm a famous inventor and an entrepreneur. Like, I make things. I do things for people.
You make things, but they all fail. You're only famous because you created so much, and none of it passed the finish line.
Junk for the garbage heap. Junk for the landfill.
feel like Hudson can't really stand it where he's at right now, so he just kind of starts running away from, or trying to run away from, this center, this shrine that's like made for him. He goes to maybe start to try and like look for a window and get some air.
That might not be quite so easy.
Yeah, maybe. Sounds it. So let us see. No, and the zone mutates you in a way that triggers someone else's obsession. No one else is left. It triggers yours.
Oh, I think it definitely triggers the bureaucrat's obsession. What are you thinking here?
I think that was exactly what I was thinking. He now looks like some part of him, maybe a part that he would need to survive, like an organ has grown out in such a way that that it would be just a beautiful ornament for your office, and you can't stop thinking. Like Roberto can't stop thinking about it, and then your bosses, like the joint bosses, are commenting, "Oh, that would be, wow, that would yes. Oh, that looks like the
what a prestigious award that would
yeah,
be.
They
That would
they
look
keep mentioning
remarkable on your desk.
He's salivating, as are his bosses.
I feel like that works.
So is the entrepreneur like his body parts are turning into awards that are congratulating him for successes?
It could, it could be like
yes.
his own, like a chamber of his heart has now grown out to be, some kind of it looks like a clear statuette, or it is clearly a trophy item. It even has a little stance, but the placard on it is not filled out yet. It's just waiting for someone's name to be there, to be etched in it. But it has this it's an abstract combination of metal and stone that's prestigious in a way. It has gravity to it, all that kind of thing. But it's kind of like now it's popped out of his clothes like a mushroom through the cement. You know what I mean? It's
Out
just
of
like,
Hudson's clothes.
Out of Hudson's clothes, yeah.
Amazing.
Hudson definitely he looks down and notices his hand is like carrying this this awesome statuette. He can't see anything, like it just looks perfect to him in a way, and I think this might be a good way to end the scene. It doesn't look like organs or anything like connected to him. It just looks like something that he could go and put on his desk like right now. And so he goes, he like regains his confidence and starts going back to where Terrence and Roberto are. And as he gets, closer, he is like, hey guys, go take a look at this. And he like removes it from like his chest. And like outreaches his hands like towards them, and then like entire arteries just kind of pull out, and he like instantly falls over with he just looks down, and then like reality sort of steeps in. He's like, oh shoot, and it falls down and drops or throws the statuette over to where Terrence and Roberto are.
Yeah, and I think Roberto just kind of sees this, and Roberto's bosses are like, that won't do anything for you. They're like almost like a little bit afraid, and Roberto just like grabs it out of the air, and he's like, he just knows, with this trophy might be the thing he needs to climb the ladder, even though the ladder has literally merged with his body. But he holds this thing.
You are the ladder.
He
He is the org
feels
chart.
Oh man, that's a real metaphor for life, that isn't it? You are the ladder
So-
that you need to overcome. You are getting in your own way.
So Duke, one idea I think.
Yeah.
What if, like we talked about, like you're hearing all these voices? Perhaps instead you suddenly like you find yourself receiving these adulations, and you find yourself being at an awards ceremony, and like that's when you find yourself holding this award, this thing that like you finally achieved your success.
Like in my head.
yeah, that
in
could be the
Hudson's head,
subjective
yeah,
experience.
Mm-hmm.
Totally
You
different.
try to hold it aloft, and that's when you don't even see us. I mean, we're there clapping, but we're not really there.
Oh boy, poor Hudson. Too quick.
So young.
Oh,
Let's see.
it's me.
Oh, young Raph.
I love the idea that while Hudson is feeling the moment of greatest adulation, the bureaucrat is just like holding like his severed heart trophy as he bleeds out. It's such a good image.
Oh man.
Oh goodness. All right. So I think trophy in hand, the bureaucrat and the bureaucrat's boss and the bureaucrat's boss's boss start moving to the next location. But I want to add one little kind of interstitial detail, which is as they were walking, he started feeling a little itch on his leg, and he noticed that a single eyeball had somehow like climbed up his ankle and embedded itself in. And he looks down, he's like immediately recognizes that this is the unmistakable eye of his boss's boss's boss.
Oh dear me.
Perfect.
All right.
I love it. That's brilliant.
All right. So,
Well, my character would have lived if I didn't take Tyler's place. Damn.
You would have gotten to the center of this Tootsie Roll Pop.
Yeah.
so close.
So, is that how it works?
I mean,
It's a swap.
I've swapped positions.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Because that's what would be happening at the table. You literally would be taking that card
Mm-hmm.
and holding on to it until the other person gets to their spot, and then at that moment, they get their kind of life back. Cool. Okay. I kind of feel like we're going in this slightly more kind of monumental direction. And I think I kind of like the idea that as we've gone through further and further into this domain of knowledge, we've arrived at what is clearly a library with oaken shelves loaded with ancient books, some of them locked shut, and it's all lit by dusty light shafts. It's dust that's clearly the same kind of dust that we saw earlier, made out of dead skin and pieces of paper and
Letters.
letters. I love the idea that it's just letters floating around, just serif and serif, gothic,
Comic Sans.
monospace.
Papyrus.
Oh, yeah. Lots of papyrus.
Whenever Comic Sans just like brushes against you, it tickles a little bit. Whenever Papyrus brushes against you, you feel a tiny bit of rage.
That's right.
Don't get me started on wingdings.
The Wingdings is like a whole part of the library, and you just you should not go there.
That's
Because the only thing that plays in that part of the library is that "What's the fox say?" You know. Ding, wing, ding, wing, ding, ding, ding.
Exactly. You hear it
Yeah.
just on the air.
Yeah.
Unmistakable.
infuriating.
Endless.
I hope none of this is happening. Anyway.
It's all happening.
It's all happening.
Literally
This
all
is
of that is
horrible.
happening.
It's
It's the only
horrible.
part there's no all of it has unnatural quiet except the Wingdings area.
It's like a warning
And yeah.
siren.
Ooh, spicy
You
one.
hear it faintly. Perfect. Okay, so we're in this place, this vaulted library, ancient knowledge, locked up books, dusty light shafts, and like literal fragments of text and letters floating through the air. And here we learn something about a character that changes everything. I think
Oh, well, you're
Well,
the one who dies. So do you want to? I want to defer to the fact that you will die. It's like spinning
I
a
have-
ghost vote.
so. I have a hunch. Firstly,
Okay.
because I die probably means that we have to learn something about me before I die. But also,
Sure.
this feels like a good spot for the chain of command to reveal something. Not quite sure what, but
Ooh, okay.
what were you gonna say, Tyler? Did you have an idea?
Well, I did. So my family, my biological family, is from here, and he didn't know them. He didn't know them. At his rock bottom, lost his spouse, hasn't had access to his child, did some shit he was ashamed of, lost his job. He gets a letter, and this is before the zone has, occurred. And he told y'all in his chit chat that he just did one of these 23andMe's and found out that his family was from here, but that's not true. They sent him a letter, and it looks kind of like some of this paper that's floating around through here, and it tells him that they didn't feel worthy of having a child, that I was special, and they wanted me to be cared for by somebody that could really take care of me. But finally, they have done something that will change the world forever. And this is your birthright, Terrence. And it is kind of written in that kind of language, but it's they did something, his family, to bring about this zone, this experience that come in. Either they were some kind of cult, or it was some kind of some type of action that they actively embraced to bring this on.
Okay, I really want to build on that. So that can I suggest a way that Terrence finds this out?
Yeah.
So I think the Terrence and Roberto walk into this library. We're wandering these halls, this astounding amount of knowledge stacked up high, and Roberto is kind of clutching this trophy and feeling finally like his obsession has his mind is so shattered, by the way, from all of this. And he doesn't even really remember what he is wanting to do. When we were in the office and he had to forget every specific detail, he was just left with the essence of being a node on the org chart. Nothing more than just his job title. Doesn't even really know what it means anymore, but all he knows is that this trophy means he's going to get and exceeds expectations at his next performance review, and he's just happy. And his boss is there, and his boss's boss, and so he's just feeling he's kind of just going with it. He's kind of floating a little bit.
And his
In fact-
boss's eyeball.
Well, and the eyeball, yes. But the eyeball has is really the only part of Roberto's body that has retained any kind of sense of where things need to go, because the eyeball, the last thing it remembers is exactly what Tyler was saying, and it's kind of tugging at his ankle. And he's just kind of going with it. He's got that same kind of vibe as Barbara did when she was getting brought down the escalator. He's like, oh, the zone has given me everything that I need, and I'm just happy. And he's feeling the subtle tug of the eyeball. And he just walks. And I think Terrence is kind of following. I don't know how Terrence is feeling right now. But But
Since
what
they came through the tornado and then the tunnel and into the other space, in that other space, there was a lot of um, Terrence has basically had devolved at that point. There was a lot of crouching, jumping, like reacting to anything that they heard. Since most of that came from Hudson, we didn't see it, we didn't hear it, so it was just Hudson acting chaotic and him hiding away from it. So when Hudson died, that whole space collapsed in on itself, like you turn the page in a pop-up book, and then another pop-up appeared, and that's why we're in the library now. We didn't go anywhere, right? I mean, not like in terms of like moving through space. It just folded down, folds up around us, right? Well, with all these papers flying around, he's trying to catch them in the air and then feed them into the lantern that he's got on his wrist. So with the hopes that if he burns this paper, he'll start to gain some kind of, maybe not his memories, maybe not his knowledge, but whatever's here, it will consume, and then that can be integrated in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, and what I'm thinking is that Roberto, led by his boss's eyeball, which is kind of the last entity amongst the two of us that really kind of knows what's going on. By the way, the eyeball is I'm picturing it just kind of like frantically, like it's completely awake. It's like really not lost its shit at all. It's like fully conscious of what's going on, and it's just like, no. It's decided that the last thing it wants to do is to guide Terrence to that knowledge. And so I think together they go to the part of this library where that letter you were talking about is archived amongst. It's almost like the post office part of the library almost. It's just like there's like billions of letters, and we're guided by my eyeball ankle directly to that letter. And I think the bureaucrat just kind of senses that he's supposed to pull it out, and he hands it to Terrence. And honestly, I think at that moment, the bureaucrat just kind of walks backward. I think I'm going to keep this scene like relatively short and let the letter play out. Maybe at the center, I'll leave it to you, Tyler. But I think the bureaucrat just kind of walks backwards into the space of the bookshelves and just disappears into the dust and just kind of clutching his trophy. And it's just never seen again.
Terrence can't read.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. So when you first hand it to him, you see him just like, just sobbing with rage. You know, like he's attempting to do something that he knew he used to be able to do, can't, again and again and again, and it all just swirls in his head. Maybe this is the first piece of, he hasn't caught other things up until now, so I want to retcon that a little bit. He hadn't thought to put anything in this lantern, but as he even voices out loud, is this a dream? I can't read anything. None of this makes any sense. It's it's almost like he's have dementia though, and he remembers being able to do this, but he can't, right? And finally, he feeds it into the lantern, and the contents of the letter. It's actually one of the things is he was horrified by the thought of meeting his own family, because they went into graphic detail about what they did to bring this upon them. They made sacrifices. They sabotaged a local nuclear power plant, and that caused some environmental damage. And then under those auspices, they even went as far, they started with animal sacrifices and then went into human sacrifices, and some combination of these things with the old religion is what they keep calling it, the old ways, the old folk ways. They say they brought what Terrence has been referring to as a she, a her, to this place, and it waits for me. So it was an invitation that brought him here, but he had this sick curiosity to find out where he came from and who these people were, and maybe he excuses himself and his own behaviors, his own mistakes, because this is it was in the genes, it was in the blood, and I did better than they did. I would have never killed a child. I would have never killed a person, But as this all kind of comes to him, and he has these spasms. It hurts. His eyes water. He looks around. He remembers that he had companions. He's just kind of been moving around as an animal up to this point, and he looks around and finds that he's alone and doesn't. He looks at his hands, wants to know if he killed the people he came here with. Doesn't think so, but doesn't know for sure.
Wow. But I think with that, that scene.
All right, Haley, take us in.
Okay.
Boy, howdy.
God, you'd love to see it.
Shall we move into the center? See what's at the middle of this bad boy?
Oh, yeah.
Feels right.
The writer is at the center. Here, at the heart of the zone, the writer will finally be able to express the wish that brought them all this way. What will the zone do with that wish? That's for everyone else to decide, using the not-so-easy cards gathered on this journey. Only Tyler can move into the center.
The lone survivor has made it to the legendary center of the zone. First, define the center together. Is it a staggering beauty, incomprehensible horror, alien strangeness, or something else? Raph, first I want to say this is really fucking cool when you're with all these rotations and all that stuff. I like that. Anyway,
Very awesome.
anybody want to suggest something first?
Define
feel like-
the center together. Okay.
What are our themes that we've got kind of going so far? We've got kind of a knowledge theme. We've got like a kind of like a book or like papery kind of theme. We've also
Digestion.
got like a digestion kind of caramelly candy-ish themes as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, reconstitution,
Mm.
things going from being integrated, right? That was a lot of
It's a couple.
especially old Roberto.
Synthesis. Kind of.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Proboscis. Moths.
Underlying feeling that there is some kind of like living, breathing entity at the core of this, right? Like that was kind of like behind the scenes, we could feel something breathing. So I
Yeah.
feel like that needs to be central to however we define this.
And we felt it at the boundary. We felt it in the mall, the mall. We felt it in the vault.
Yeah. Yes, I think that makes sense for it to be some kind of entity. So is that sort of the answer to that? Are we defining it as a being? Do we need to give it more than that?
Yeah, how much definition do we give it at this stage? I guess is the question. I don't know what part 2 is necessarily going to ask us. So how much more defining should we give? Would you say, Raph?
I think this is a good place to start. We can always add more as we go.
True.
But we all love a little bit of slightly undefinable, ineffable cosmic horror, right?
Yes, 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 yes.
All right. You came into the zone driven by your obsession, which was your lost family was from here. Do a short flashback about the origin of this obsession. Does it still drive your wish? Then describe how the zone tells you that it's ready to hear this wish. So there was Terrence went through a lot of years of being angry in college he was a foster kid turned adopted kid, and he was always angry. And that always got written off as, well, I mean, he's hormonal, he's a teenager, he's a boy, he's like this, and he tried to channel that into different things. But in college, when a college kid drinks too much and beats the shit out of somebody in a bar, that all gets kind of like swept under the rug. There's academic probation, especially because he was strong. He was a strong writer. He was good at what he was doing. And not all of that always got excused. And then as he got older and older, the excuses became fewer and far between, right? So he beat the shit out of an editor or a publisher. And it was, and that caused him some stir. And even then it kind of got like, after some, period of time of being, you're going to be suspended for a period of time, but they even brought him back then. Like, he just kept getting written off. It just kept getting allowed to go further and further and further. And until finally, his lack of control, his lack of ability to deal with his anger of being abandoned, of being left. When all of these things had spiraled up, his wife, who had stood beside him, they had a little boy of their own. He was so proud. It was the thing that he felt like, I've done right. I've done good at something. And when he continued to embarrass her, when he continued to do these things that he couldn't control himself, wouldn't go to therapy, wouldn't deal with these problems in a concrete way. When she suggested maybe she needed to go to go stay with her mother for a while, he snapped and he backhanded her. He lost his shit while he was drunk. But it wasn't even like, oh, I'm so drunk I can't control myself. He was, once again, he disassociated from himself. He saw himself doing it. He narrated his own actions in his mind while it was happening. It became this kind of thing that he picked up after this moment. And and their little boy saw all of this, and he felt this sense of he has passed on this crucible. He's passed on this black mark onto his own son, that if this is what he demonstrates, then his kid won't be any better than him. And he wants somebody to answer for who he is. He doesn't want to answer for himself. He doesn't want to accept it. He doesn't want to he doesn't want to take the blame for what he's doing. He wants somebody else to be responsible for this. And it's always been the people that weren't there, the people that he hasn't seen, the people that he couldn't get a hold of. And that memory, or that was something he thought about in that time, right when that happened. He screamed out that that she wouldn't even be the best person to have abandoned him. Go fuck off, that kind of thing. He's in that period of time. And so he reflects back on, or that memory washes over him, that combination of wanting to find out what the genesis of, or what he believes is the genesis of who he is and what he has become. That's what he came here for, but that's not really his wish, right? Because it was actually worse than he ever imagined. He was already horrified about who these people were. His wish is to somehow go back in time and have done all the things, have made all the choices differently, to heal that wound, to heal that rift, to dealt with himself before it got to this point.
Sounds like it's time to tell the zone your wish.
How does the zone tell you that it's ready to receive your wish? I guess is the question. Also,
Oh, there was a thing that says, I guess there needed to be some kind of manifestation then. Yeah, so I think as the detritus has come through, it started to turn into papers, and it was constituted as knowledge in a couple different places, and then we kind of existed through the memory and conceptualization of Hudson for a while, and the library was a sort of a joint conceptualization by the bureaucratic organization, this locked knowledge, and there was a process to everything that was incomprehensible to Terrence at the time, but as you look back, that's what it was. We were going through that sense of who Roberto and Teresa and the other, not the one that the boss's boss's boss that also lost their memory. So all of that kind of got reconstituted in that way. But as this stuff, as the detritus actually moves through, there is you call it feminine. It has a feminine energy to it. There is a figure draped in what might be mistaken as fabric, like a robe, but it could just be a wing. It could be another appendage. It might move and somehow grasp out sometime and then come back and look like clothes again. But these detritus, this material, is coming in and then knotting up as fiber, and she's taking this fiber and then moving it onto what looks like a loom, and then tracing on to this, and then sometimes cutting little strings and then starting up new threads through the loom and knotting that in different places. Something of her design, or this figure's design. And that is the sense that she now holds as my, that liquid that came out of my ear. It has a scent, like it at least resonates to me, maybe not to everybody else, but there's no one else there but me. But that liquid has now become a slight bit of thread, and she's got it in her hand. And this is me. This is my, maybe not fate, but this is my memory. This is my sense of myself. This is my identity. And she's got that thread in her hand right now, and she's just about to put it in place, in a certain place. But she looks to me to see maybe where it should ultimately go. Maybe that's my indication.
The writer's wish to change.
Oh, you can see this?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
As they're typing it, yeah. Every typo.
Yeah. I wish I was an award-winning editor.
Stop.
Luckily, the award-winning editor is in the zone, just
Dead.
Yeah.
looking over, watching. The zone edits all those who enter.
poetic. The writer's wish is to change, to let go of the obsession with who he didn't have, and to build on the love that he did.
I was worried you wouldn't have enough space, but then a little scroll bar appeared.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's a very good design here, UI-wise.
It's so good. I am impressed with every bit of this online implementation of a roleplay game. I'm impressed with every bit of this roleplay, but especially the online implementation. I feel like games, when you play them online, they sort of lose something. That the way that you've done this has really brought it back. It's really good.
Thanks, Haley. I really appreciate that.
So if you support Raph in the printed version, okay, that's cool. But you should retroactively give him money for this. So this is great what he's done here. All right, so Haley read the first part and she did so well. I just wanted to read the second part now.
You want me to read the second part?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, give it to me.
Okay. To turn back time, or at least live in a happy fantasy of a life better lived.
All right.
Now we, the zone, decide if and how.
Come on, Zone.
It's not
so
so
easy.
easy.
Alright.
Duke got the most not so easy cards while alive.
Oh boy.
And these are now the Judgment deck. You'll decide how the zone treats the wish by choosing a card from this deck. And then myself, Kyle, and Raph will influence the final judgment by adding one card each to the Judgment deck and describing
nice.
a possible way things might go. Okay.
Begin the judgment.
Prepare to
I
be
really like this.
judged.
I'm judged by ghosts.
So how does...
It is my turn to influence
Oh.
the outcome. So I have to choose a not so easy card, is that right?
Yes, the hidden button that you clicked on there. I need to just remove that button.
the judgment deck? Or...
one of these or
Yeah.
on my card.
Yeah, you pick a card at the bottom.
Okay.
What just happened is there's just like an invisible button that I use to get backwards if I have to during development. And I keep forgetting to take it out.
I see. That's
Mr.
brilliant.
Randy.
Every time I play, I'm like, oh, note to self, remove that interaction. Anyway.
To change, like the obsession. Turn back time.
So is this now my opportunity to say yes, but that he gets
Yes.
his wish, but okay.
It's a way to you're presenting a possibility for the way things might go.
Okay. So to change, to let go of the obsession with who he didn't have, but to build on the love that he did, to turn back time, or at least live in a happy fantasy of a life better lived. So is Terrence's family alive?
Which one? The spouse and kid, or
The spouse and kid.
yeah, they were outside the zone.
Okay.
Unless this is spread, unless this something else has happened.
So I would say that yes, you do get to build on the love that you did have, to live in that happy fantasy, but your spouse and child are pulled into the zone to live it with you.
All right.
And they have to work their way through it just like anybody else did.
Goodness.
Only one of them gets to the center. We already established that. They're gonna get eaten by the mall. All right. The mall.
The mall's more.
Man, mall went down to the mall's mall.
Okay, so now this is me. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think you have to.
Very good.
All right. I want to be contrarian and say no and.
Oh,
Uh,
the one what saved me.
You stole my happy ending, so you don't get to have a happy ending now. Let's see. Yeah. So, so no, you do not. You're not able to get rid of the obsession. So, how do we incorporate that? Let's see. Perhaps in this, you do get sent back, but instead you are forced to live the life as if you had grown up with the family that you had originally, as opposed to getting the better life you wanted. And maybe you do still find happiness, but it is with the family you're trying to let go of instead of the one you wish for.
I get to live that cult life.
Yeah.
Change to let go of the obsession with who he didn't have, but to build on the love he did. Yeah, I think I'm gonna lean into the let's lean into this one. All right. One way this could go is that he does change. And he does build on the love. And he does turn back time. Literally.
Ooh.
Ooh.
In this possibility, the zone just gives the writer exactly what he wants to actually to live a better life. It would be someone else's life. It would be the writer's life. In fact, this life is so much better that it's actually just completely different in every single way from his life, leaving not a shred of his current identity. But in it, he will experience love and happiness, and the life will be satisfying. It just, there won't be a shred left of who he is. The change will be complete. All right, Duke.
Feel like it does happen. I'm just gonna kind of build up like what Raph said. So, sort of does turn back time and does begin to live a new life, but as part of the fragmentation of the zone, you know, all of his memories have been wiped, and the zone has even sort of rewritten history to give Terrence a new name, that which, you know, Tyler can go ahead and decide, and his obsession, you know, kind of will inevitably come back again someday, driving him to come back into the zone and start over, like he has decided to do with everything in his life.
I love the idea of this ending being cyclical, and that now the zone is just part of the writer's life cycle somehow. Like a salmon.
All right.
Okay.
So Survivor
Well, that's
interview
it.
notes.
I guess.
Oh, okay. Man, what a neat form.
We did it. We made it to the center of the zone.
Well, one of us did. The rest of us became the center of the zone.
You got to stand in judgment of me, of the writer. I gotta say that was in terms of, and I know some of it's like magical realism, and some of it's, the connective tissue can be pretty weird, so you can deal with plot holes that way. But sometimes with these exercises, I don't find a very satisfying narrative through that experience. But this was very, I don't know, I don't want to speak for everybody. I thought that was very satisfying narratively, the way things kind of came back around, the things that we kept bringing back into the story or tying back around to it. So
Yeah,
The early
agreed.
parts were a little bit like we're trying to find our feet of like what things do we want to explore, like
yeah.
and so yeah, as we kind of collectively agreed in a direction, I think things took a lot better shape in the second half, and started to like come together to form a more cohesive thing. I really liked your reinterpretation at the end of the as the like the library and like the bureau being kind of amalgamations of the characters that remained. They're like an ethos at that time, like what like made them, and it kind of retroactively, it kind of also looking backwards, it also makes sense. Like if you then take to that and you add the scientists, you kind of get more of a like a data focused look at the world, and you take one step back and you get an economic focused view of the world. When you add another add Haley back in, you get more of like the mall side of things. So like it kind of works across the board. I like that a lot.
Yeah, I agree, Tyler, that I think that the structure, the way that this is designed, and like there is an end in sight, it really supports the narrative process rather than sort of having to come to a stop and people feeling like things are still unresolved. Like we resolved everything. We knew that was going to happen. And so it meant that we could be a bit more free and loose and creative, I think, but still trying to weave it all together. It was really good. Really good.
Duke, I want to ask you real quick. In the interim, you'd messaged some. I know Haley and I about kind of now that you went through the first session, you got an idea more about what was going on. You could prepare a little bit better, but it's not really like a game you can't really prepare for all the prompts, right? But
You really can't. Yeah.
Did you feel like you got a better sense of it, or how did it feel coming into something and being like, even if you play D&D, this is not that experience, right? This is not, because you want your character to, get rich and kill stuff and be successful, and this is more like a how can I make things worse for everybody, including myself?
Yeah.
Get rich and die trying.
It's funny you brought up the D&D comparison. I feel like with the DM and D&D, their job is to obviously make sure everyone has fun. I feel like there's 5 DMs and like with this experience, and with that you get 5 times the troubles and the challenges of it, but definitely having the ability that everyone is kind of going towards the same goal together, and knowing that there's an end really drives, like, I think, really cool creativity for what can happen with this.
Yeah, it's a thing that I find marvelous about this genre. Like, I don't know if people think of zones as a genre, obviously because I'm obsessed with it. I do. But the whole idea of a space that is a metaphor and also a kind of direct manifestation of stuff that is going on inside of you. Every story that is well designed does that to some extent, because the world is designed around the characters and the story that they want to tell. But this makes it so literal that I find that these kinds of environments naturally funnel the players towards really interesting stories and character development. And honestly, that's why I just love it so much. Like, I just love this genre. And I think I always ask myself, like, what's it mean to play a game like this, to play the zone or to play a play to lose game well? And it reminds me of doing improv, where you might have a certain form of improv, like your short form improv, your long form improv, or 20-minute Harold or something like that. And you can just keep doing that over and over again, just refining how much you explore that structure, and how good you get at creating characters that are going to unravel in interesting ways, and keeping other people's characters in mind so you can help them unravel in interesting ways. Because you start with not a lot of stuff. The characters are really simple. And if you, and like, it was really fun watching this happen because you're all great storytellers. But if you work with what you have, you find that it just kind of develops in a really interesting way. It just adds complexity. And if you come back to the themes that you have, there's always going to be something to work off of. The only way it can go wrong is if people continually try to invent new stuff. But all the mechanics are basically designed to funnel you back into what you already have. That's why the scene cards mention obsessions and phobias and so on. I just love this genre.
I think you have actualized it in a very successful way. You've made a very good tool for people who also love this kind of stuff. I love this kind of stuff. I know Kyle and Haley are along the ride with me on American Mythos, so I already knew they had a taste for it. And old Duke,
Oh yeah.
he got to decide my fate. Oh my goodness,
The
what a
power.
responsibility!
Every time.
Every time, baby. Raph, we really appreciate you being here with us on both of these weeks, and I hope we get to do something again with you. Keep in
I would
mind,
love that.
everybody. Keep in mind that we've gotten even closer to the launch of the Kickstarter since we
Yeah.
started this. So it's going to be 13 days, 10 hours, and some change, right? So make sure that you have yourself alerted for that, for when this goes live, that you can be a part of it and get in on it. Where can they go to do that, Raph? They just go to play.
TheZoneRPG.com.
Okay. And then, of course, you can also play this version that we played here. And the more we support Raph, the more great writers get involved. So you can have different scenarios, different setups. So your experience of the zone can be wildly different. So even if you feel like you're at a block, you don't know what you want to express, now you're getting a whole new set of ideas coming down the pike. So make sure you go to thezonerpg.com and do all that immediately, because we all forget, because our memories are being sucked out of us by a bug thing with a proboscis.
Yeah, we're also self-absorbed by money and longevity that you don't even notice.
That's right.
Oh yeah.
It's been a pleasure.
Really appreciate you, Raph. And we're gonna get back with Raph and do a little interview so he can talk a little bit more about why he's so obsessed with zones. But for now, watch this playthrough, part 1, part 2, and you can see how interesting it can be for you, your friends. Join us on our Discord. If you'd like to talk about these kinds of things, we'd love to hear more of your thoughts, or different role-playing games, GM-less experiences, any of that kind of stuff. If you feel intimidated by this, come chat about it, and we can tell you more about what works, what helps your group, what gets the creative juices flowing to the best of our ability. So check that out. On Thursdays on this channel, we play Blood on the Clock Tower. So, sorry, this light was about to fall on me because my dog got startled. We play Blood on the Clock Tower on a Thursday. This Thursday, we're going to be playing a script called We Are All Worthy. So check that out. It's going to be, I think it's going to be a really fun script. I'm excited about it. And then is it this Sunday? What are my dates?
Yes,
No, it
it
can't
is.
be.
No, it is. This Sunday
Okay.
is American Mythos. Yeah.
Woo! Coming out too fast on me. On this
Yeah.
Sunday, we'll be playing American Mythos at 12 o'clock Eastern Time. So that's noon in the East. That's how that works. The sun is going to be perfect for American Mythos, our cosmic horror RPG campaign or mini-series set in the American Gulf Coast in the wake of an oil spill that has left the entire environment changed and brought the dead back to life. In our last edition, we had a very spooky child. Can you get anything better than a spooky child? That then had the memories of some of their adult compatriots from the cult they were raised in. Isn't that neat? Yes, it is. So check that out. American Mythos, 12 o'clock in the East on Sunday. But until we see you again on Thursday when we play Blood on the Clock Tower, we bid you a fond farewell. Thank you, Duke. Thank you, Kyle. Thank you, Haley. And thank you, Raph. We appreciate you in a big way. Check out thezonerpg.com.
Thank you.